Many have brilliance, but lack warmth. Others have fire, but lack intelligence. Zeal without knowledge. John the Baptist had both. They made him a powerful evangelist and a voice that was heard by the public. Warmth in religion is usually discounted. There's always the suggestion that to be excitable and carried away makes one suspect of poor judgment. The tendency is to shine without burning. One of the unsolved problems of science is to produce a physical light that is cold. But religion seems to have solved that problem. The words burning and fire seem noticeably absent in our new charismatic lexicon. They were emphatic as this century began. It was a baptism with fire. The heat was felt everywhere. When you touch God, you touch fire, for God is a consuming fire. Isaiah burned. The desire of our soul is to thy name. With my soul have I desired thee in the night. Yea, with my spirit within me will I seek thee early. He said, thou meetest him that rejoiceth and worketh righteousness. There was a compulsion about Isaiah. You trace it to the hot coals which touched his life. Then flew one of the seraphim unto me, having a live coal in his hand, which he had taken with the tongs from off the altar. And he laid it upon my mouth, and said, Lo, this hath touched thy lips. Without it, mister, we have no greater authority than the world. One thing is certain, people who walk with God, who draw near to him, are warm people. There's a blaze about them. These are people of faith. They burn because they believe. Billy Sunday had that fire. Folks said about the evangelist that he got so fired up that he tore off both his vest and his coat. 2 Iowa farmers talked about it. See here, Jones, one said, there never was any preaching done like that baseball man does it. I tell you, John, he's got more life in him than any 2-year-old colt ever saw. I could never have believed it if I hadn't seen it, that anyone could ever be so much in earnest. In the meeting last Sunday, he got so fired up that he tore off his vest and his coat, jerked off his collar and his tie, and rolled up his sleeves as if he were going to thrash. He wakes folks up. He keeps them on tenterhooks. John, I've never heard preaching that took hold of me like his. The worst that was ever said about Billy Sunday was that his sense of good humor occasionally ran wild. But the best ever said of him was that he reached millions. The outcast, the strays, the outlawed, and the deserted, who wouldn't have been reached otherwise. And those who heard him never forgot him, nor his blazing, bare-handed evangelism. It awakened the nation to righteousness. I am more interested in the question, what do you believe, than I am in the question, what do you think? Men of faith believe that God is, and that he is a rewarder of them that diligently seek him. So they seek him constantly. It isn't Sunday morning religion with them. You can spot such people. There's a spiritual poise about them, a sweet assurance. They are steadfast. They know God. One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple. That desire is there. That fire is there. It kindles. It kindles and crackles and leaks. Such folk never negotiate with the mediocre. They say, let the beauty of the Lord our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands upon us. Yea, the work of our hands establish thou it. There's nothing superficial. These are the committed people. They burn with revelation, and the will of God becomes uppermost. Nothing else matters. They have burned through mutters and gimmicks and recipes for success and genuflex. Not every one that saith unto me, Lord, Lord, shall enter into the kingdom of heaven, but he that doeth the will of my Father which is in heaven. There's more to it than shoutings and praise offerings and musical responses. You get down to the hard core. What does God want me to do individually? Am I ready to go God's way regardless? That must be the test of my zeal. John the Baptist shone, and burned until Jerusalem and all Judea, all the regions around about Jordan were alarmed. They went out to see and to hear. No one accused him of being illiterate. The military consulted him. The academic questioned him. He replied, "Bring forth therefore fruits worthy of repentance, and begin not to say within yourselves, We have Abraham to our father. For I say unto you that God is able of these stones to raise up children unto Abraham." To the military he counseled, "Do violence to no man, neither accuse any falsely, and be content with your wages." And as the people were in expectation, and all men mused in their hearts of John, whether he were the Christ or not, that's quite a compliment. He burned into their hard, cold hearts until multitudes confessed their sins. King Herod and his adulterous wife were so scorched by the heat of John's message that Herod imprisoned him and later cut off his head to dampen the flame which licked out toward his sins. Would you substitute semantics and regulatory services for that kind of spiritual heat? There's nothing wrong in shining unless it is bereft of burning. Solomon said, "A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine," and I appreciate that. There's no merit in ignorance. There's no hope in the dull, stupid monotone of morbidity. Believers must show the way. It's incumbent that they accept leadership, but it must be a leadership of passion, a seriousness that creeps past the games that men play. The face of Moses shined. When Aaron and all the children of Israel saw Moses, behold, the skin of his face shone, to come nigh him. Until Moses had done speaking with them, he put a veil on his face. But when Moses went in before the Lord to speak with him, he took the veil off until he came out. In Corinthians we read, the children of Israel could not steadfastly behold the face of Moses for the glory of his countenance. Now that's the combination of shining and burning, which penetrates sin, disobedience, and make-believe. Stephen had it, and all that sat in the council, looking steadfastly on him, saw his face as it had been the face of an angel. Such faces reflect the light and the knowledge of another world, and I love to see it on our platforms and in our audiences. It takes more than brilliance, ladies. It takes fire. Stephen burned into the guilty souls of priests and rulers until their wrath knew no bounds, and they lynched him. They sent him to heaven in a shower of rocks. The heat of one man made the entire city uncomfortable. The apostles burned their way into idolatrous cities and into a pagan culture, reeking with unmentionable lust and unspeakable cruelties. They burned, and an age was transformed. It was too hot for hell to quench. And above all, it has determination. Brilliance for the mind and heat for the spirit is the combination. The hot-headed can be misled. The fervent in spirit will persist. Esther had it. It is utter devotion. It is a divine discontent with formality, ceremonialism, lukewarmness, indifference, sham, parade, spiritual death. It is God the Holy Ghost burning in and through a humble, holy, faithful man or woman until that person resolves one thing: if I perish, I perish. The same flame consumed Paul, but none of these things move me, neither count I my life dear unto myself, so that I might finish my course with joy, and the ministry which I have received of the Lord Jesus, to testify the gospel of the grace of God. Such religion is unstoppable. You have to have that fire in your soul to do exploits. Otherwise, life in the pew settles down into the mundane and the weary. It burned in Jonathan in his armor bearer. Without man's assistance, they attacked the mocking Philistine army and routed them. It burned in David. He felt so hot for God that he attacked an adversary many times his size and experience, and beat Goliath into the ground and beheaded him. It burned in Daniel. He challenged censorship and faced capital punishment. His three friends in the State Department knew a fire within themselves hotter than any infernal Nebuchadnezzar could light in Babylon. Be it known unto thee, they said, O king, that we will not serve thy gods, nor worship the golden image which thou hast set up. Red-hot religion will drive all other religions right out of town. Peter was so hot for God that he told the city council, whether it be right in the sight of God to hearken unto you more than unto God, judge ye. For we cannot but speak the things which we have seen and heard. So when they had further threatened them, they let them go, finding nothing how they might punish them because of the people. For all men glorified God for that which was done. You couldn't whip it out of them. You couldn't jail it out of them. You couldn't threaten it out of them. You couldn't highbrow it out of them. Hell fears that kind of burning. I want to feel it in choirs and ushers, in prayers and preaching and giving. He was a burning and a shining light. What a combination. It started the Presbyterian. History hears John Knox cry out to God, "Give me Scotland or I die." It started the Methodists. History hears John Wesley say that about 8:45 he felt a strange warmth. It started the Lutherans. History hears Martin Luther say, "Here stand I can do no other, so help me God." He said, "I will go to Worms, though there be as many devils in the city as there are tiles on the roofs of the houses." How can you blaze? Well, there's a price. It won't come by church suppers. $5 socials have never lit any fire. It won't come by frolic and church athletic leagues. Bowling and swimming parties have never started fires. It won't come by pandering to the ease and sloth of the flesh. Pretty services are flame-proof. It takes what Isaiah saw, the Lord sitting upon a throne, high and lifted up, and his train filled the temple, and the posts of the door moved at the voice of him that cried, and the house was filled with smoke. There's a quickening, a combustion. You get with God, Elijah did. You see the flimsiness of a world system, its pomp and trappings and bluff. It's all transient. Suddenly it's garbage. You counted refuge. You link with another world. Men of fire are self-sacrificing. They're self-denying. They do not entangle themselves with affairs of this life any more than does the good soldier who goes forth to war. They do not mix with the men of the world except to do them good and, if possible, win them to God. They guard the fire in their hearts as their sole protection upon earth and their passport toward heaven. Paul gave the measurements of a Christian, not slothful in business, fervent in spirit, serving the Lord. That means quick-witted and warm-hearted. That's a winning combination in any man's town. Paul bred that kind of following wherever he ministered. When he told us your earnest desire, your mourning, your fervent mind toward me, so that I rejoice the more. So what is your spiritual temperature? How hot are you? People are as hungry to meet the Lord as at any time through church history. The romance of this long altar spreads daily, and more lives are attracted to it. So let's find a place to kneel in these next 10 seconds. The tone of the meeting is so victorious that I come with strong faith to pray alongside Mrs. George Olson, 913 Rossman Avenue South, Detroit Lakes, Minnesota, who met Christ at the long altar. She says, "God has done so much for me. I was placed in an ambulance and taken to the hospital with a broken knee. And God healed me right there. I was able to walk long before I was expected to do so." Mrs. Martha Salisbury is at another part of the long altar, Adrian, Michigan. She says, "Station WPOS releases you to this home. Jesus, the mighty surgeon, met me during your invitation, and an itching which covered my body stopped at once. It was a touch from another world." When you pray, believe, desire. Jesus said, that's what we are going to do. Master of three worlds, we assemble at the long, long altar in thy name. We approach with adoration and strong faith. Thy name is above every name. Sweep this kneeling, their convocation with thy command. Arise, take up thy bed and walk. Let that action be censored from one end of the altar to the other. Free the prisoner of hell. He kneels for pardon and cleansing. Grant peace to the troubled mind and aching conscience. Impress obedience upon those who pray with thy grace. We thank thee for thy power and the spiritual muscle of these meetings. Use us to fulfill thy will for our community. We're so grateful, so happy to be employed in thy service. Amen. Now it's time to move along the altar, to be sensitive to the special providence intended by the throne for the edification of the body of believers. And I discern by the wisdom and knowledge of the Holy Spirit, the gift invested in me, that there is a person with us in agony whose face is swollen by infection in that area of the body. You've not been able to eat or sleep, and you've cried out in your prayers. The shepherd surgeon is moving towards you. Prepare now for his touch and offer him your thanks as well as your service. To God be the glory. This has been the meeting. We do not try to be great or impressive. We come together because the great promise of heaven is activated. There is he in the midst of them. This meeting gathers this planet's greatest charismatic fellowship to underline the Bible truth that it is not by might nor by power, but by my Spirit, saith the Lord.